Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the pod where we chat, argue, and wax poetic about the movies that we love, hate, or that are simply worth talking about. All movies have something to say, and we enjoy trying to analyze what they capture. Welcome to the Chatter After. I am Brandon Alvarado, the Scrawly fan here, and I am joined by the amazing Chatter After crew, Mike Thomas, the Nova Cinephile.
What's up, guys?
The great emblemaniac, Isaac Wolf.
Always look on the bright side of life.
And we appreciate our man, Big Cliff. What's up, bro? Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, thank you. I truly appreciate this. I'm so ready to talk about this movie. My goodness. I'm ready.
Guys, welcome to the Chatter After. We're going to talk, we talk movies, we talk what they love, what we hate, what inspires us, what makes us scream, what the, and also what makes us inspire us to talk about great things. And today we are talking about the 2022 Indian Telugu language epic action film and juggernaut known as Rise. What is it?
Roar.
Rise.
Revolt.
Rise, Roar, Revolt, or in simple terms, RRR. This epic action drama film is directed by S.A. Rajamouli. It was written by V. Vijayendra Prasad. Yeah, I'm doing this. And stars the phenomenal and interestingly well-physiqued and well-versed and well-danced Ram Charan and N.T. Ramarao Jr. This movie's crazy. This movie's amazing.
Props for attempting all of the names, bro. I just want to give you a round of applause.
It's what I do. As long as we don't do that weird dance battle with the right leg, we're good, because I would fall down real quick. But we're going to talk about RRR. This awesome movie exploded onto Netflix earlier this year. It made bank. It's considered now one of the highest grossing Indian films ever. It's considered the most expensive Indian film ever, and it shows, because it doesn't matter if you understand what goes on in this film. It doesn't matter if you understand the drama. It doesn't matter if you think it's just a prolonged MTV music video like the old days. What matters is that it's amazing. All the hard work, all the money, the budget was right, and it shows. It was great. And we're going to talk about RRR. I don't think we're going to talk 3 hours about a 3-hour movie, but we are going to talk a good chunk in this newest take of the Chatter After. So let's go around and give our initial thoughts on the movie, and then we'll start breaking a couple of scenes, a couple of thoughts, and discuss it. Let's start with our guest, Mr. Cliff. Tell me, you said you were stoked about talking about RRR. Why is that?
Holy cow, this movie is such a blast. Like many of us, I saw this on Netflix at first when it first dropped. And this is actually great timing because I saw this movie literally in theaters last night. It was literally perfect. So I saw it in how it was meant to be seen. And it's even better. My goodness. The crowd experience, the sound design, acting, performance. This movie is just spectacular. It's the best movie of the year for me still. I haven't seen any other film better than it. And mind you, when I first watched this, I saw Top Gun literally 6 hours before watching it. Top Gun was literally my favorite movie of the year, but then 6 hours later, it's no.
Yo! I remember that was so funny because he was just Top Gun movie of the year, and a couple hours later, he's just I take that back, y'all.
Truly,
take that, small reacher.
Literally. But yeah, I love this movie. There's so many things to talk about. We'll get into that, but yeah, it's a great film, 5 out of 5 for me. I hope this movie gets recognition throughout the award season. Probably not, but hey, I hope something just comes from this for the director, the entire cast, everybody. It's phenomenal.
Isaac Wolf, the man from the Swedes, talk to us. What did you think about Rise, Roar, Revolt?
For record, for people that doesn't follow our amateur taco pod, what I'm mostly watching is Japanese cinema anime. So this is praise when it comes from me. This is arguably one of the best live-action anime movies slash Dynasty Warriors adaptation I've seen in a long time.
That's amazing.
That's one
I
way to
agree.
put it. Oh,
So in other words, while you were watching this film, you were looking for the Koei Tecmo logo somewhere.
I mean, have you played a Dynasty Warrior game?
No, I agree. I agree. Raju slash Ram was definitely channeling his inner Dynasty Warriors. Like, especially in that first scene where we're introduced to him. It's like, it's funny because all the officers, as they saw him do what he was doing, they were all going like, this guy's like a Dynasty Warrior. Like you see it in his face. Like it was all there, but well done, Isaac. Well done. I'm proud.
Yeah.
Mike.
Nice. Yeah. So,
initial thoughts on RRR.
Yeah. RRR is one of those movies where I wish I could have seen this in the theater because I know it was playing in a theater near me, and that's what makes it hurt even more. Because once I learned about the movie, I'm like, cool, I'm going to go this weekend. And it was taken out the theater and immediately put to Netflix. So I still watched it that weekend, but I couldn't go to the theater to see it. But yeah, it's a visceral experience, right? It's the reason I love movies because somebody just had a vision and said, I'm going to make the wildest, most dramatic, heartfelt, funny musical of all time. And they just didn't hold back. There was no studio mandates. There was no, interference. It was just, hey, we're going to just tell a bonkers balls to the wall story and you have to get into it. And I love how we have been talking for almost 10 minutes and nobody has even attempted to tell you the plot of this movie. We're talking about how much we like it, how much we love it, but it's like, what is this movie really about? And the premise is simple, but the content in this movie is so vast and broad. It's kind of hard to put into words. It's great.
You literally just have to tell people, like, just watch it. I can't explain it. Just watch the movie.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Yeah,
yeah.
It's funny you say that because to say that RRR is a spectacle, an epic. It's kind of like diminishing what it actually is, right? Because it's the equivalent of a work of art, and what I mean by that is, as someone that was raised on Western media, let's make that very broad and specific, right? I've never seen anything like it, and sadly, most of the things that I've seen related to this kind of media, it's people making fun of the whole Bollywood vibe and what they stand for, right? And the fact that you could watch this is the first Hindi film that I've ever seen in my life. I'm not gonna lie, first one. I've never been a casual watcher of these kind of films, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just again, I was raised in Western media, and the closest thing that I have that's not Western is pretty much manga, anime, and stuff like that, and some European flicks, very loose here and there.
Yeah.
But I came out a fan. I came out excited to see, okay, what else have these people have done? Like as I was researching the cast and the names, and clicking on Google Translate to tell me how to pronounce them. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do that. I kind of found a couple of other films that they've worked together on and they've been on, and I figured, you know what? I want to watch more. Because this is a genre that I've never really explored and enjoyed or seen in the past. But I came out a fan, and it's not even because it's corny. It's the story is overly simplistic. It's emotional, but surface level because of everything that goes on. And it's funny because a lot of the emotion it's mixed into the excitement of the spectacle. And I think that's a very peculiar trait that this film has that helps drive all those big moments home. Like the idea that a guy is being whipped to death right? And suddenly, a gust in the wind, and a leaf falls on his face. And then he starts to sing. And it's like, okay, I'm good with this. But the funny thing is that it doesn't exit the narrative. It doesn't exit the character development and how they find ways to. It's funny, like, there's emotion in the acting, but they see the music as a musical, right? They see the music and those numbers as an extension of that emotional expression, as opposed to, and it's funny because it doesn't feel like a musical either, because all the acting is top tier within that genre. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that musicals have bad acting, but there's a difference when you see an actual film and you see a musical. There's a degree of disbelief that's built in, and like, you don't necessarily take all those characters that seriously, or you take because you're looking to judge the film by its score. You're looking to judge the film by the big musical numbers. Does that make sense? Like, you're trying to grade the film in different aspects, and all these things are so perfectly and meticulously intertwined into all the different acts. And I love how it has its own identity. Like, the style, it bears on its sleeve. It doesn't hide that it's trying to be something special in particular. And I don't know, it's great. Was I the only one that was fascinated by the fact that there was a disclaimer at the beginning where it says, hey guys, no animals were hurt in this film. Every single animal here was CG. Like, it was awesome. And it was so smart, because the fact that we get a disclaimer like that, which, correct, I'm not trying to assume, but in the little that I know of those cultures, they value animal life, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's them communicating to their culture, right? Which I think it's brilliant, because it shows how much how big it is, how big for them it is to hit home. You know what I mean? Like, they're not selling out. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing what they're doing close to home and all that stuff. But when I see the animals and I see that they're CGI and I see that they're not perfect, it didn't bother me, because I was told already that they're not real.
Yeah, like when you see him throw a jaguar at a guy, you feel okay, because, like, well, that wasn't a real jaguar. He's good to go.
Right. But also, it's like, I'm not bothered by the fact that you can tell that it's not real.
Yeah.
And also, when you see, like, there's a scene there, like, I think the only jarring VFX animal-wise that I saw was in the battle in the courtyard when they break the governor's party.
Yeah, when they storm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a deer that looks completely green. And not in one scene, not in two scenes, but in like 3 different edits, you can see that he's all green, and then he looks perfect. But it didn't bother me, because everything was going on, and like, you're in it. Like, it finds a way to just grab you. And
it's an anime. I mean, no.
Well, but here's the thing, though. But that's the thing. Can we say that it's an? I think that's us looking for something to relate it to.
No,
right?
but I'm saying
Probably
it's the same idea, the same concept.
Yes.
The same, because like you said, the crazy musical numbers, the crazy fights don't undermine anything else. You're able to suspend the disbelief while still being invested. It's a total anime type move. And I mean, come on, these are 2 shonen protagonists in this movie anyway.
Yeah. It's so funny, because you say anime, and then I go back to My Ordinary Life, and I can just see. I was waiting for the principal to grab the deer and just suplex it.
Oh gosh.
That's the beauty of this movie, though, right? It's just like, we're thinking of, we're looking at it as like, oh, it's an anime, but it's like, it's so many things in one that it's hard to put it in a box.
Right.
How do you do it?
It's anime, it's action, it's romance, it's a drama, it's an epic, it's a musical, it's so many things that just like, how do you fit this into 3 hours? Like, how much time does it take to do this? Like, it baffles my mind every time I think about it.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because this movie does something that's very remarkable is that they're able to tell multiple stories at the same time, develop these characters from point A to point B drastically, and the pacing is perfect. How do you do this multicolored raincoat of things and not feel it drag?
Yeah.
Because you don't, like, for a movie that's 3 hours long, it doesn't lose you. It doesn't let you go. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because there's moments like when they capture Beam, right? You, like, the movie, you feel like, okay, they're gonna end the movie, but then you see that there's still like an hour to go, and you're like, what are they gonna do to like go higher? And buddy, like, it's just great.
One of my favorite things about this movie, right, is that you independently introduce these two characters, and that you can tell that they're opposing ideologies already, like from the moment you meet them. But I love
because they're introduced with the letters.
Yeah,
and like it feels like, for some reason, I felt that this is Indian Avatar.
Yeah, Raju represents fire, Beam represents water, and I love. But my favorite part of all of that is once they try and save the kid from the fire in the train, and they get that grip, right? 40 minutes into the movie, that's when the title card shows up, and you don't even notice. And it's just like, game recognizes game. The movie has started. Here we go. That was a preload.
Exactly. The movie has now. The movie started. We just got you. You know, this is just the introduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's just
this is that tie-in comic you get for free.
Exactly.
Literally.
It's like, no, it's so funny because it's like, hey guys, everybody does the movie and then they do the prequel. Hold my beer. We're gonna do the prequel. We're gonna do the movie. And then we're going to do the tie-in. Like, we're going to do everything in one shot. Like, it's great.
This is essentially like one American trilogy in one movie. Like, I feel like we could split this up into 3 movies.
You got 3 big acts, yeah. Agreed.
Literally, like an hour and 30 minutes each for each one, maybe, give or take. No, we just get it all in one, and you're never tired. You're never exhausted. You are constantly in it.
Yeah, it's interesting you put it that way too, right? Because you could say, oh, it's the classic 3-act structure. Not really, because each story arc, with enough time, you could have stretched it out to be an hour and a half anyway, and make it its own movie. Like, Beam's mission to save this girl could have just been a movie on its own. Or if you have Raju trying to get weapons back to his people, could have been a movie on its own. But by smashing, yeah, and that's the thing. You can really break this up and watch it in chunks, and that's what I initially was going to do because it was 3 hours long. But then you sit down, and the next thing you know, you're like, "Oh, I'm already 2 hours into this thing. I might as well just stick it out." It holds your attention in a way that even Lord of the Rings, I don't think, does, and that's one of my favorite movies. But I still end up checking my watch, like, when are we going to make it to Mordor? But yeah, it's.
Oh, wait, I'm watching the extended edition. We got another 10 hours.
He's not even joking, y'all.
No, and the funny, I'm glad that you said that, because going from what you guys are mentioning about the 3-act structure, or the fact that it's a trilogy in and of itself, like, it's a trilogy meshed together, right? Like, it's meant to be experienced as a one-time experience, but you're actually experiencing 3 big chunks of story intertwined with each other. The fact, the fact that they're able to do that and justify the length by the way they pay off what they set up before. Because talk about a phenomenal talent in screenwriting, directing, and editing, where every single thing that they set up in the beginning and the middle has a very powerful payoff. Because everything has a very powerful payoff. Like, my only gripe was, how do Beam and Jenny understand each other? because Beam doesn't speak English, but it's okay. They're friends.
The power of friendship, because it's an anime.
Exactly, plot convenience. But I'm not mad about it.
No,
because the fact that Beam is able to save Raju, and we get the amazing Indian Voltron being able to escape jail, it's like the best thing ever.
I love how detailed that fight sequence is.
Yo.
Only for him to be able to be completely fine later on in that day, jumping around, shooting arrows.
No. And the best thing about it is that particular scene was teased when they were exercising together as friends.
Yeah,
because we've seen it before.
That's what it is. You just mentioned it. That's how they pay these things off. We don't pay attention to it as the story's happening.
Yes,
it's like the scene where, yeah, exactly. It's the scene where Rama is holding the giant limbs full of meat, and you're like, why is he carrying this around? Why is he tossing it in the hole? You're like, oh, right. It's for the animals you captured. That makes a lot of sense. It's so like very subtle and just not in your face.
I didn't even think about that. You're brilliant bastard.
But even at the beginning of the movie, when he finishes boxing the tiger, he says, I'm going to need you, my friend. And it's just like, okay.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. Bro, there's everything pays off. Now, the reason this movie works so well, I mean, we've talked about, I mean, we can't stop. We keep finding reasons why it works so well, right? I mean, guys, it works so well. End of podcast. No, but
like
I think
and subscribe.
One of the yes, yeah. One of the important things that I think we need to point out, and I say this after watching a horrible Full Metal Alchemist movie, and you're gonna understand my point.
Is it on Netflix?
It's not fueled by rage. I promise. But one of the things that bothered me of the Full Metal Alchemist movie is that it felt like sometimes it feels like a bunch of cosplayers trying to have fun with characters, as opposed to a cast and crew that takes the story seriously and wants to tell it as it was meant to be told. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All these actors and actresses are having a freaking blast. And they're committed to what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's like giving it their all, physically, mentally, emotionally. Especially those stand scenes. Like, they're like very rough and very like powerful movements. Like you don't do all that with a smile on your face unless you're having a freaking good time. You know what I mean? And like, you can tell that these guys are just having a blast, and you're just invited. Like, hey guys, we're doing this thing. Come join us. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
some of the best movies are like that. And like, for example, one of the films franchise that I can think about that benefits from that kind of people having fun in what they do, I think that's one of the biggest qualities of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, and why a lot of people gravitate towards those films and what James Gunn has created, because these characters are just having a blast. Like, the idea that the first scene that you see is a guy just listening to the music that he enjoys and just having a blast there, and suddenly you find out, oh, it's what his mom left him. Oh, his mom died of cancer. Okay, I'm invested now. But all of these characters like having fun, and they're connected and having fun in space and all that stuff. And it's a joyful ride, but they're all committed to that vision, to that idea, and to that enjoyment. You see this here. Like, it's very interesting when you find a casting crew that is having a great time together, and how that elevates the art that they're creating.
It's a passion project, essentially, right?
Yep.
Because
yep. I mean,
you think of some other franchises, right? You think of like the Sony universe outside of Spider-Man. They make those movies out of obligation. If we don't make it, we lose Spider-Man. So sometimes you get a movie like Morbius that feels soulless and pointless because nobody working on it probably really wanted to be there. Whereas this one was full on passion. Everybody involved was having a blast, like you were saying. And that's kind of the issue sometimes with big Hollywood.
Yep.
Or maybe specifically just even like Hollywood and specifically American cinema. Because I feel like all of us can probably name like 10 films internationally that have just the have the same amount of quality as RRR and everything you guys just mentioned, and that's a whole nother conversation for later. But I agree 100% because like this movie, like everyone's so on board in this movie that even Ray Stevenson is out here doing stunts.
Yo,
Like,
the fact that this guy
literally.
from Thor, it's funny. I've been seeing this guy having a blast being the dark bad guy, right? Like every time he makes this, and it's funny, in every scene he's in, he's giving the same speech. He's just talking about the bullet and how they built to the whole bullet thing, right? Like Ray Stevenson is having a freaking blast.
Like his
he's
wife
just
is far more terrifying in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Yo.
Like, why
It's
do
so
you
funny.
have a whip just out of nowhere? Why?
She just handed it to the
Diabolical.
guy.
But then again, the way she dies is so satisfying.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
there's no moment that's just so satisfying. By the way, like, I love how everything comes full circle at the end. Like there's no loose threads. It's just great. I did want to mention one more thing because we're talking about passion projects. We're talking about films that either are lackluster and films that we see everybody on board and enjoy what they're doing, and it shows and elevates the material. You know what it makes me think? Like one of the greatest examples in film, in terms of that commitment, in terms of that dedication to vision, to make something happen in particular, even if it's not your type of movie, I think that's one of the things that makes a lot of fans and cult classic fans gravitate to Quentin Tarantino films. Because
I'm sorry,
everybody
you opened up Pandora's box for me. Oh,
No, it's all good because every Quentin Tarantino film that I've seen, apart from being very particular, very specific, none of them are the same. Everybody is like digging the Quentin Tarantino vibe, and it's a very specific vibe where it's like, hey guys, we're gonna do this movie, and everybody's like having fun and enjoyable, and there's a sense of enjoyment. Like it's funny because most of his films are like films that tell a story while also criticizing and commenting on the act of making movies at the same time. Like they're not just stories in and of itself. It's always like a somewhat of a study on the art form, kind of. And I think that's what makes them so interesting. Now, I'm not saying that movies have to be deep because, I mean, we can't say RRR is super deep.
Hey,
but that's not
Nacho
what they're
Nacho
going
is the deepest dance number of all time, bro.
Yo,
please, the subtle jokes in that scene, like literally, my favorite moment is when the white dude is coming up. What do you know about dancing? And he starts swinging, and then they cut to the black dude by the drums. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate this subtle humor. Like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
He was just like, I got y'all back. I get it. I get you.
Yep.
We sticking together, bro. No, but
it's so good.
I really want to, because Cliff got really excited when you mentioned Tarantino. So I want to just circle back to hear Cliff's thoughts on that, because
yes,
I don't want to let that moment go by.
Yeah. So Quentin Tarantino has become one of my favorite directors of all time. Like literally, my top 5 films like that I think are just great. It's just Kill Bill Volume 1 and Django Unchained. Because as you said, there's like he's critiquing the art and just the just the art of film, but at the same time, you can tell this man has studied. You can tell this man is a true fan. You can tell that like a lot of his movies are almost homages to just classics from back in the day and whatnot. And the way he just constructs these films is almost just like it's weird because in almost all of his movies, majority of the characters he writes are all bad guys, but you're still rooting for them by the end of the day. Like the bride in Kill Bill, she is a mercenary. You know this. But you're rooting for her to get her revenge because of how she was mistreated and whatnot. And even in like Django Unchained, it's like Django is technically murdering people. By default, he is a criminal. But within context, which is where I think that's where Quentin Tarantino really like does well in his frameworks with films, is that within the context, you're rooting, you're on board, you're rooting for this character, you're expecting this thing to happen, this et cetera, et cetera. And to bring it back to what you mentioned, I think what was I trying to say? I think it just really works well, and just how he really examines film and whatnot, because there's so many little moments that you can pick apart and dissect and analyze, but at the end of the day, the movies are just entertaining. And I think that's what RRR does. Was like, we can sit here and dissect every single moment, but at the end of the day, this movie is entertaining, and I think that's what we all want from movies. Like, I don't think anyone ever wants a bad film,
Correct.
whatnot.
Agreed.
So that's
Yeah.
I could say more, but that's just like the quick answer to all that.
Unless you are in the mood to roast some movie or not, and just go. What's it called? What's that name of the TV show that just roasted movies all the time?
TV show that roasts movies all the time.
And it's I can't recall it, but yeah, there is one that is just sitting there watching, showing a movie and just doing roasting commentary of
You
it.
mean like Monster Science Theater 3000?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you see, I guess there's a difference though with that and what Cliff's saying. Like, we're not rooting for anybody to make a bad movie. On the flip side,
yeah, like,
bad movies
I'm not
exist,
saying
and we have no problem roasting them. Don't get me wrong, but like
Right.
at the end of the day, we
I'm
want.
not saying that.
I know you're not saying that. I'm just saying, to Cliff's point, that's kind of where he was going with. We don't want bad movies, but roasting a bad movie, like, I'll roast The Room all day long. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, just because of how dumb it is.
I like watching what's the movie where James Franco plays Tommy Wiseau?
The Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, I love how that comments on The Room, commenting on itself and commenting on Tommy Wiseau, and it's like doing this.
It's
now
Inception.
Yes. Now, staying on this Tarantino vibe, because I think is a good vibe to be in. I think what makes RRR so powerful and such an enjoyable experience, especially with so much things going on, because you got to think about it. With so many things going on, this could have been a train wreck very quickly. Like, there's a level of commitment to the vision that if it wasn't because that commitment to the vision, it wouldn't have delivered, right? Like, there's so many shows and so many movies that a lot of the fans feel, oh, you teased this, but you kind of like held back, and that's why we didn't get the climax, or we didn't get the delivery that we wanted, or the end game that we wanted, right? But I think it goes to the point where what makes these movies, Tarantino's and RRR, so great is that the characters are so well constructed and very clearly defined. And their wants, Tarantino's example being very simple, both of them being very simple wants, because you got to think, when you look at all Tarantino's characters, they all have very specific, simple wants. What's complex is how he constructs them and how he tailors them to the environment of the story. And then in RRR, they're just simple characters, period. But because they're so outlandish and they stick and commit to that outlandish portrayal, like every time we see someone with their shirt off, they're flexing. Like, there's no time that they're not flexing. Yeah, like, it's ridiculous. They're walking around, instead of being, they're like flexing. Like, every time they run is like
veins just popping out, sweat. It's like, yeah, I'm here.
It's awesome. And like, for example, it's funny that you said the whole thing about Tarantino. I'll be right with you, Isaac. I know you want to talk. I just want to finish this topic before I lose it. And you mentioned that Tarantino does a lot of bad guys, right? Mm. But it's funny that because he presents them just as they are from the very beginning that we meet these characters, when we see them doing atrocious things, it doesn't surprise us. Like, because he's being honest. He's honest in the presentation of the characters. Like, hey guys, these are hitmen. So if you see blood, if you see brains, if you see people killed, like
their day to day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, for example, when we see Bruce Willis when he kills Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, Like,
Spoilers for
it
Pulp
makes
Fiction.
perfect. Oh, I mean 1994. Come on. It's like, sorry, right? Spoilers. Um, but it's like when Vincent Vega dies, the way he dies is like, is a hitman's life for me, right? Like, it's like you expect these atrocious things to happen, and that's kind of how he gets away with doing these crazy, gory exploration and scenes, because he's very honest in the presentation of the stories that he wants to tell. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of movies that they try and do gore, or they try and do violence, and it feels what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like it doesn't feel authentic, or just simply feels off-putting. Period.
Yeah, it's just gratuitous.
Because it's gratuitous. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
It just feels gratuitous because there's no justification in the story. But because the characters are designed in a way that allows you to accept what's happening, not because you want violence, but because you accept what's going on, it works. Same thing with RRR. The fact that we see Dynasty Warriors Raju from the very beginning sets the stage for all the crazy shit that happens throughout the whole movie. Like, the fact that freaking there's this one scene towards the end where there's this motorcycle going towards them, and he kicks the motorcycle, it flips around, he grabs it and just throws it to the other side, and you're like my reaction was, what the oh my god, like you just go like, okay, like, it doesn't bother you. Like, and it's funny because in any other movie you would be like, okay, this is too fake, I can't watch this. But no, in this film you're like, oh crap, like, it's awesome.
Yeah, just to piggyback real quick off of what Brandon said about how Tarantino presents these characters in their honest form. I think the slight difference where RRR does it is, yeah, we're introduced to these two characters, Beam's purpose. He's like, I'm just here to get Ali. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But we barely learn what Raju's goal is until basically the third act of the movie.
Right.
And you learn, like, oh, what he's trying to do is actually far more difficult. Yeah, like, he's trying to, make change within the system, and like, that's a very relatable thing for a lot of people. Like, we don't learn that until 2 hours in, where he's just like, oh, he's just the quote unquote the bullet for the British Empire, British monarchy, to get their job done, and it's very fascinating.
Yeah, I love how you brought that up, though, right? Because it adds a layer of complexity. Because we can talk about how simple the story is, or how simple these characters are, but the entire time you're questioning why Raju's like this. It's like, okay, you're clearly a good guy based off your interactions with Being. What is the point of, like, we even had the whole bros being bros montage of them just being the manliest dudes on earth. And it's like, okay, what's your deal? And then they slowly get to that point, which I think is a very nuanced way to tell his story, because you could have just had that face value right at the beginning, but they held on to that card so they can have that moment of heartbreak, relief, and overall shock once you get there, which I think is, again, one of the strengths of the movie. It's able to exist in every genre. It can be stupid, it can be nuanced, and you accept everything about it.
It's the key of expert writing, right? Because also the other thing that makes it work so well is that when the reality of Roger is revealed, it's just a different version of Beam's want.
Yeah.
It's just a different proliferation. It's not something entirely foreign. So, and it's funny because it goes to the idea of how you have the same character develop different ways. And that's what makes it click so well. And only someone that pays attention to what they're writing and what they're trying to do can do something like this. And that's what the kind of things that I admire when I see films like this. Because the artistry is so apparent and so front and center that you can't help but just admire it. Like, it's just great. Isaac, you've been wanting to talk for like 5 hours.
Sorry, Isaac.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything because I was like, I know Isaac has a lot to say.
No, honestly, I lost a bit of a train of thoughts after that one. But in all honesty, that's right. For people, I don't know. It's sort of like you talked about how they flexed and all beefy men and all that. Yes, that sort of like I don't know, Michael, if you haven't watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not yet. I've been told multiple times I need to watch this show.
I know enough of JoJo's to probably figure out where you're going.
Oh,
with this.
title.
It's dear to use an otaku reference in how I would argue that they're in sort of like in. It reminded me sort of like the broader relationships within the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime, where the beefy men, testosterone, wanting to do the right thing, but
It's a hyper masculine
hyper-masculine,
brotherhood.
yes.
Yeah.
Hyper-masculine brotherhood with some essence of East of the North stars from time to time. Yes, I watched it. Yes, so what? But
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just going to accept it, though.
It's like this. Yeah,
So
I
I think Isaac. I think a more. Go ahead. Finish your thought. I'll assist later.
But it's all but it's sort of like you. This movie shouldn't work on paper, considering how many tones it very clearly have. But weirdly enough, it is able to do so, and I do respect it for that. Respect it for that, because I think you guys were onto something when you talked about Tarantino, because what makes or breaks a show, book, movie, you name it, is the character and character interaction. Yes, I'm speaking from a personal perspective. Also, and they fit right into the story, and you wanted to follow them right on cue, because they give you such an expression. What were you gonna say, Brandon?
No, the character work is great. It's what drives the film. These characters drive the film. All I was gonna comment is like, if I know you've seen some of Full Metal, right, Mike?
Like 5 episodes worth.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna spoil anything huge. Cliff, you've seen Full Metal?
Oh, I've seen both iterations of the show.
Bet.
I'm a big fan.
Respect. So I think the best description that I can give you is towards the end of Brotherhood. Zig, Izumi's husband, and Louis Armstrong's kind of relationship.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's like that is that kind of bromance. Like, I respect your strength. You're awesome too, brothers. Like it's like that macho energy.
Mike
It's
has
just so
probably
great.
seen that scene as a steal because it's a meme.
Yeah, but don't worry. Nothing story wise was spoiled. I promise.
Mike, I'll put
But
it
it's-
this way. Imagine what Isaac and Brandon just said. Like, it's this very hyper masculine bromance,
Yeah.
but with a hint of like Hitch starring Will Smith and Kevin James, where like here's
Finally!
the two of them trying to like
Yes.
He's speaking my language,
here's-
people.
here's Will Smith helping Kevin James get
Yes.
the girl that he really loves.
Yes.
Blah 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 blah. Like that's the best way I can kind of describe it. But
Yeah, it's
you know.
like two very disparate figures are united by one idea of helping each other find love, right? It's like it doesn't matter how different they are; they just come together as brothers. Period. It is
Game
what it
recognizes game. With one look, they became best friends.
is. Yes. Yo,
Which how
one
does that
goal.
work? Like they're like a mile away from each other, and they just see each other. And they're like,
He
"Got you."
Look, Cliff, don't question it. Earlier in the movie, one man fought 1,000 people, and the other fought a tiger. They're just supermen.
And at some point, he fought a bear. Like, which I wish we would have saw that scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, I love how you keep saying game recognizes game. So here's the thing, guys. We made that work with no sports references. That's how powerful this film is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the only one here who probably could have made the reference, but, you know, respect.
Yeah, and also, now that I'm thinking about it, it's also bring it back full circle. Another reason why RRR works well, which also one of the reasons why Quentin Tarantino's movies works also like very well.
I love how he hijacked this podcast. This is now a Quentin Tarantino episode.
Yes, I honestly want. I want to see if YouTube has a video of Quentin talking about RRR. I don't know why. I'm pretty confident he's seen it.
That'd be great. But sorry, go ahead, Cliff. What's your point?
No, I was gonna say it's the music in this movie and just the musical cues and just arguably the syncopation of this movie. Like literally, when you first start off this movie and you just hear and just like I'm sorry, I'm getting musical nerd geek moments coming out. I'm just like you are literally like the music sets you up for what you are about to experience. It's bombastic. It's wild. It's different rhythms coming together for one goal. Essentially, I'm just like, all right, I'm here for this, and it just doesn't stop.
I love that you mentioned that and you talk about the music, because what makes this so fascinating is that it's all percussion.
Mm-hmm.
Like you barely have, like the only real hints of melody that are there is when they sing, but the point of the singing is to sing percussively.
And
majority of, I was about to say, majority of that singing is just like a male chorus. It's just like tenor and baritone. I'm just like, you really hear alto and soprano. Even like there's a little bit of like guitars in this, but it's very rare in this movie. Just like, wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because we follow the characters and how it's edited, especially towards the final number at the end. Which, by the way, the movie wasn't over until it was over, right? Like. Towards the end, the fact that the lead characters are leading that musical entourage, right? It helps you continue to enjoy all that. But yeah, man, like the music was great, and it's like how interesting it is that good music is good music no matter where, no matter what. Like it doesn't have to sound like something you've heard before.
Universal language through and through. When
something is well done, performed, it's fascinating and it's there.
Yeah, it's
And,
sorry, continue.
No, go.
No, I was just gonna say it's incredible how powerful music is, right? Because it transcends the language barrier. Like the movie opens up and the little girl, I don't remember her name, she's singing, and it's one of the most touching things because she's killing that song, like she's murdering that song. But then the heartbreak of this lady saying, yeah, that was great. I want to keep you now. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, give me $2. Give me 50 cents. That's enough. That's how much you're worth.
Awful.
It's fine.
They really did a fantastic job with these villains because I despise every single one of them. But back to the music. It's like, you don't even realize the language barrier. Because again, Nacho Nacho, I was partly joking about that being the greatest musical number of all time. But come on, the dancing.
It's arguably up there. It's phenomenal.
The dancing, the music, the lyrics. Like if you're actually able to go back and read the lyrics, it's amazing. All of the lyrics and all of the songs are amazing because it's telling a story. Like one of the songs during the montage is like these two complete opposites complement each other and become best friends. And it's like it's those details where it's like you felt that energy from the song, even though you didn't know that's what they were saying. And I just think that's why music is so great, and this movie handles it perfectly.
It's almost like Quentin Tarantino with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Kill Bill Volume 1. It sets the scene. You understand what's happening.
I hate that he's right.
Hey, man. What I love about, apart from the fact that it's a period piece, right? Because
a historical drama, if you will.
These things happened in one way, shape, or form. The cruelty happened, the racism happened. All this happened when the English Empire, or whatever it is, British Empire, whatever they want to call themselves or used to call themselves.
The darn colonizers. That's all that matters.
And side note, when I saw this last night, there was a guy who was in the theater who was very excited. He literally seen this movie 5 times in theaters, and he just screams out, "F the British monarchy," and everyone just starts clapping because this film is supposedly set like 5 years before Queen Elizabeth is born. And I'm just like, oh, this is an interesting night. This is an interesting experience I'm having.
He's like, I'm in an historical moment in a historical theater in a historical movie.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I also love how this film also, it's so of its genre that it kind of screams to the entire world, hey guys, we can make movies the way we make movies. We don't have to be like anybody else. Yeah. I mean, not that this is the first indie movie that's ever been made, because they've been making these movies forever. But what I'm trying to say is this is the first one that I've seen, and I can clearly see the identity, and I can appreciate the identity as a whole, but also in that number. Was it Nama Naman? Is that the name of the number?
Oh, Nacho Nacho.
In the dance
Nacho
off?
Nacho.
Nacho. Because that's literally what that musical number is trying to say. Yeah. I may not know how to do a waltz, but buddy, I can do this. And it's like this song of praise towards their culture and why it's valuable and why I can do what I do. And you can either keep up or you don't matter. But I'm going to have a good time. And the funny thing is, most people end up having a good time.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I love how it respects its culture and the type of film that it is. But it's also insanely accessible. It's on Netflix for everybody to watch. But also, the type of story that it is, half the cast does speak English. So you're not reading the entirety of the 3 hours. There's still a number of scenes where you can actually look up for once and notice the cinematography and everything that's going on, which I think is just a subtle way of saying, yeah, this movie is clearly an Indian film, but we still made it somewhat accessible for new audience members to get into this type of film.
I'm really happy that you said that, because I watched the movie in Spanish.
Oh, please tell me, is it glorious?
It was awesome. I've only seen it once, and I saw it in Spanish, and it was freaking awesome. It was freaking awesome. I mean, it's your typical Spanish voiceovers, of course, but it was phenomenal. I watched it in Spanish with English subtitles, and even when, but still, but still, whenever the English characters spoke English, it was in English. It wasn't like, so it still kept the identity of the film and what they're trying to do, because you got to think that when the English speak English, or when the natives of that country speak English, it's meant as a identifying feature of the time. So keeping it in English in those moments, it's part of the story. It's part of the immersion. So if you make everything Spanish as a whole, it kind of loses. Mm-hmm. So I like the fact that they made, like, the main commentaries, when everybody speak the traditional Telugu language, that's what they made in Spanish. But all the songs are still in Telugu and all that stuff. So it was great. We all talk about video games and accessibility features, but the accessibility features available for this film is just great. It was built for everyone to enjoy in a way that they want to enjoy it. So I was actually very grateful, because I watched most of it with my girlfriend, and in Spanish is our first language. So it was a nice experience to enjoy that culture in a way that was close to us, and still go, what the hell's going on? It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised, though, you being the otaku that you are, that you decided to watch a dub.
Well, the funny thing is, I did watch a dub. I did, but because I wanted to make sure that I didn't waste time reading. That's kind of the reason why, and I'm actually glad that I made that choice.
I'm joking, because the Netflix version is a dub anyway, because it's not originally in Hindi.
No.
Whoa! Now, can we talk about how this film loves their symbols? And did you guys catch that in the when the final showdown starts in the jungle, Raju shoots fire and
Mhm.
Beam comes out of the water?
Well, that's how we meet them too, right? Because like when we
Yeah.
first meet Raju, the flames around that fence start swelling up, and when we first meet Beam, it's the reverse shot. The camera tilts and shows that we were looking at his reflection in the water, and they did that multiple points, which is just amazing.
Raju was in the desert as well during that scene. Like he's in a hot place, literally.
Yeah,
Whereas Beam is in the jungle, is in the forest where water and food is easily available.
And it's funny you say that because then the guy that he was trying to catch is the only guy with like a red shirt, so he's chasing the fire.
yeah,
Mhm.
nice.
Bro,
Or to piggyback off
bro.
literally, or to piggyback off of the sense of symbolism. Also, the third fight. Next thing you know, they're symbols of deities and gods within this respective religion or just belief. And I'm just like, wait, like literally while watching that, I was like, wait, did they get powers? Like I'm missing something.
Well, you see,
Like I get the water and fire, but,
I mean, we can assume that they're superheroes at this point.
Mhm.
Like
they're both descendants
definitely...
of Kaguya. That's what happened, guys.
Literally, they mentioned that Raju was a descendant of one former king, and I was like, wait, we need a
Whoa.
whole movie on that by itself.
No, and the funny thing is that once he has when he gets his superhero suit,
Mhm.
he wears that for the rest of the movie because that's you made me find who I am. So he's supposed to be this guy with a superhero suit. Oh, and by the way, he has unlimited arrows because the quiver never loses. Which I think that's part. I think that's a super. I think that's a superstar. Yeah, it's funny because he uses. Can we talk about the Green Arrow commentary? It was great. It was
No.
awesome.
Look, all I'm gonna say is these two could definitely take down Thanos. I'm saying it right here.
Yo.
Then and there. These two could defeat Thanos
Yo.
very easily.
Yo,
Beam alone. Replace Beam with Hulk in Infinity War in the beginning of that movie. Oh, no
bro,
one's getting snapped at that point.
bro.
Nothing's happening.
Yo, throw him some green powder. Thanos is going down like a jaguar.
Oh man.
Bro. This is awesome.
So good, so good. It's this is just a fun movie. It's I'm glad we're covering it. First off, I'm glad you and Isaac actually watched it because I was afraid this was going to sit on the list and never get crossed off. But I'm glad we're able to spotlight foreign cinema, right? Because like Cliff was saying at the top, it's one of my favorite films of the year. I don't know if it's going to make any noise during award season. So I'm hoping it doesn't just leave the U.S. consciousness because it's making bank in India. But here, I hope it's not forgotten anytime soon because
I
it's
can
so
see
good.
this getting at least nominated for Best Foreign Movie, considering what noise it made overseas.
Hopefully.
I really hope so. And also, I mean, it's because here's the thing though, whether you accept it for what it is, it's a damn well-made film.
Yeah.
Like you can't see the wires. No. What I mean is, like, everything is well done. The editing is on point. The effects are on point. Like, the music is on point. The sound editing is great. Do you have to leave your brain outside the theater? Maybe. But it's what a film is meant to be. A good time. It's a great time at the movies. Like,
Just do what Bong Joon-ho said. Like, if you get past that small barrier of subtitles, you will be amazed. Like,
buddy.
Words to live by.
Perfect. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
As someone
Yes,
that
sir.
constantly reads subtitles, no comment.
Isaac, if you have no comment to make, you don't have to tell us.
I'm just messing with you.
Well, guys, do you have any more thoughts on the amazingness of RRR?
I mean, I am curious to see, like, what are your guys' favorite moment? Like, what's your favorite moment in this movie? It's a lot, but like, what was that moment in the theater where you're just like, yeah, I am on board for anything after this? Like, what was that for you?
Isaac, I command you to speak.
Catching the tiger.
Oh,
In the beginning?
when he's holding the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Mike.
Ooh. I think it's when Raju just decides. The guy says, go get him. He's just like, all right, I'm just going to go Super Saiyan and fight this horde of 1,000 people. But what I love is the indicator of that one man wearing red. It is the most video game quest thing. Like, you know when you play in Batman and the Riddler thug is glowing green? That's essentially what that scene is. And it is just so ridiculous, but awesome. And it's just crazy to me because a lot of people have a hard time suspending their disbelief. Like, a lot of critics for this movie talk about how they can't suspend their disbelief for this movie. And something that Cliff said earlier is like, they're superheroes. If we can believe that Iron Man can fly, or that Krypton existed and they sent their baby to Earth, why can't I believe that this man took on 1,000 people? He's just a superhero. I don't have to question it. The end.
Or if we can believe it in terms of like martial arts movies, like The Raid 2, Police Story, where there's scenes where one guy's taking on 20 people. Old boy, it's like, how can you not do it here? It's literally the same concept. Like,
yeah.
That quote from Grant
Whole
Morrison
trilogy
again about grown-ups having a hard time understanding that kids it's just the fantasy. Moving on.
I mean, I get that, but also grown-ups still complain. I mean, I guess I take it back, because The Little Mermaid, grown-ups can't suspend their disbelief with that either, so forget it. Grown-ups are stupid.
Well, I mean, maybe that's what it is in relation
but it's
to
funny.
Little
But it's
Mermaid.
funny that you say this.
Point.
But when I look at Google and I look at stats, 93% of Google users like this movie. It has an 8 out of 10 on IMDb, and it has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, you see, Brandon, if you wanted me to just call out John Campea directly, I would have done it. You didn't have to come back with the numbers, man.
But here's the thing.
John Campea now.
Nobody cares about John Campea has to say because it's just another white guy. So,
Dude, has
got him.
I'm sorry.
The last couple of weeks, that's for certain.
I mean, you got to put it this way. I can't. I kind of apologize for the comment, but at the same time, he does it to himself. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. But not all white guys are bad. Sorry.
Oh,
So
No comment.
back to the action. Okay, so my favorite scene, like there's a lot of little scenes that I love throughout. But I gotta go with Indian Voltron. Like that whole piggyback throughout the whole.
The way they scaled up the tower.
No. No, that's not even it. Like that was phenomenal. It's not even that. The fact that he has 2 rifles, and as he shoots, he lowers his arm and Beam just does the reload for him, and then he just can shoot again. Of course, we never reload them, but that's fine. Don't matter. It's Indian freaking Voltron. Like, it's just perfection.
I
Talk about how
love
it starts. These two just dum dum dum, dum 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 dum. Okay, I don't know how y'all two learned this communication, but whatever.
Well, you see,
No, it's about to be somewhere.
it's again, and I'm going to stress it, game recognizing game. When they first meet, Raju's on the bridge, Beam's on the ground, and he just does this. And he just knows, I'm going to get on the motorcycle. I'm going to grab the rope. I'm going to grab the flag. We're going to loop around and catch the
I just
kid.
all the time, just you here, me here.
Yeah.
Come back together.
Yes.
So ridiculous. I love this movie so much, y'all.
That's actually my favorite moment of that. Like that got me on board.
That's
I mean,
that's
don't get me
the
wrong.
moment.
Yeah, Raju's like introduction is when I first was like, wait, what's happening? I hold on, pause. Let me actually sit up for this. Like, I need to pay attention. But then once these two finally meet and they do that whole thing, and like I didn't realize like, oh, he's using the flag to cover Beam, so he doesn't get any like third-degree burns from this and whatnot. I'm like, okay,
It's the one time they reference them being human. Just think about it. He gets whipped. He gets sliced up by a tiger. But flames? No, sir. We've got to make sure we protect the guy.
That's the first time we see the motif of them on the bike and the horse.
Yes.
Before we see it again in the rest of the movie. It's just like, all right, I see what you're doing here. I like this. This is fun.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This movie's great. Anything else, guys?
I'm good. It's just going to be another hour of me talking about how great this movie is. Which some people might like that, but, you know.
And about game recognizing game?
I mean, dude.
Just let me ask this one question. It probably won't happen, but would you guys, like, do you think we could potentially ever see this on a Blu-ray, like, release? Maybe not in, like, the next year or 5 years, but at some point in the future, like, do you think because of how popular this film is, and once people realize, oh, we can actually make some money on distributing this film internationally, do you think there could be a Blu-ray release for it?
I don't see.
I mean, anything's possible. I think the biggest thing is, I wouldn't be surprised you can get a Blu-ray. I just hope that we can, well, like you said, distribute the distribution, because it's different. It's getting that Blu-ray with the region unlocked for us. That's the biggest thing, because we know that this is selling. It's gonna sell over there, where it was made. You know what I mean? It's gonna sell. People are gonna buy it. They're gonna keep it. You know what I mean? Hopefully, yeah. I actually hope that happens. I mean, I'm not a big physical media person, even though that's against what everybody believes.
Shame.
But like what I really, really, really love, that's what I buy physical. Like it's funny. A lot of the books that I have are books that I've already read and I love.
That's fair.
As it should be.
Yeah. But most of the stuff. But yeah, I really hope that becomes possible.
I'm gonna say yes and no, because on one hand, yeah, it would make sense for somebody to release it worldwide, but also Netflix paid a pretty penny to get this movie exclusively on Netflix, and they might prevent that from happening. That's just a thing to keep in mind too.
Fair.
Yeah, very fair. I was just thinking, I was like, this is on Netflix. I haven't seen what viewers in other countries and what their reactions are. You know, I haven't seen like what the Europe responses are, or like what viewers in Japan think, blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. But if it were to ever happen, I would definitely buy this on the Blu-ray, like, to me fully.
What I want everybody listening, and what I want you guys to do, is Google reactions, or type in like RRR reactions, theater reactions on YouTube, and watch the theaters freak out. It is so amazing.
By the way, when you speak about Netflix paying cash, for example, didn't they release Daredevil after a while?
They did, but that's also their own IP, so I don't know if they treat that differently.
Also,
it was their own IP.
Being the operative term here.
Yep.
That's also cheaper than RRR.
They paid for exclusivity with Violet Evergarden, and I own that series physically, so.
Okay. Well, we'll see. That's also anime. I don't know if the rules are different. Because, like, One Piece is on Netflix, but I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. I'm just saying we'll have to see, because I don't know if the same rules apply there, is all.
Fair point.
It's a different market, too. Like, I think the relationship between the West and Japan and many of these anime distributing companies, it's a lot more linear, or a lot more. There's a lot less red tape, I would say, mainly because you got to think about it. Sony is mainly a Japanese company, and Sony now owns Crunchyroll, so you have that. Netflix is a U.S. company, but they have deals with everyone all over the world because they want to appease to everyone in the world because Netflix is everywhere in the world. So it really depends on what market they want to reach, but also the fact that Netflix has become, even understanding the value of physical media, I do want to highlight the fact that Netflix has become this hub for intercultural interaction. That's just phenomenal. And like, no matter what people say that, oh, Netflix has to do something and figure out the fact that they don't have original IP, that they have to come up with their own stuff. Like, yeah, that's cool. That's important. But what Netflix is doing with bringing all these cultures from all over the world together, nobody else is doing. Like, that is
Literally.
unique. That is unique to Netflix.
They
And
just need to become the house of international properties. Like, that's all they have to do.
yeah, like because they're getting revenue from everywhere. Do they lose money all the time on subscriptions? Yeah. Should we start sharing subscriptions? I'm not going to talk about that. But the reality is that Netflix has become this hub of so much amazing content. To think that Netflix has the distribution rights for the Full Metal Alchemist movies, no matter what people think about it. They have the distribution rights to the Bleach movie. They have the distribution rights because they're making One Piece live action. Like, and also they have all like the North. What is it? What was it called? There's this North mythology show that's on Netflix. It's supposed to be very good. That is, I think it's based is Icelandic. No. It's live action. It's that's supposed to be very popular. Like they have given a lot of these creators from everywhere a hub, a place to present their stuff, and people from all over the world are watching it. So it's not just the fact that people from Europe are making content for their own people. It's like they're now able to use Netflix to present their art to everywhere.
Yep.
So
That's about the Norse show, Ragnarok. Is it called that?
Yeah.
I think it's yeah. I think that might be it. But yeah, there's a lot of. I love the fact that Netflix become that hub, which to me, I know it's a lot of people think differently. I value that more than I value Netflix doing that, even if I don't get like the physical media on it. Like, I love the fact that I see all these different options of content that constantly grow, and it's awesome.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. That's one of the reasons I am constantly keeping Netflix, because I'm like, between the K-dramas, the Japanese shows, the French shows like Lupin, the Nigerian shows that are on there. Like, they just have so many shows that are from international places. I'm just like, this is what, like, I don't care if they ever make like shows in America anymore. Like, I don't. They have plenty of stuff from other countries that can keep me satisfied and keep me interested and keep me paying money to use this app.
And I love that.
I value that a lot.
I love that you say that, Cliff, because even still, we get Stranger Things, we get The Sandman, we get Cobra Kai, we're gonna get One Piece, we're gonna get Avatar: The Last Airbender. We still have The Witcher. we have, even if they release 2 to 3 shows a year, that's still enough to say, hey, we're still doing our own thing. But in the meantime, we're going to take you on a tour around the world. We're going to stop in India. We're going to stop in Japan. We're going to stop in the UK. And that's what's really cool about Netflix. I agree.
And it covers every genre. Like, there's literally, like, you can even watch Indian and Japanese dating shows if you're into that. Like, it's there. Like, it's literally a hub for whatever you're looking for. You just have to search and take the time and just read the captions.
Yeah, it's become your local, your international public library.
Well said.
Of content. It's great. And by the way, Cliff, you're on the hook now, because the fact that I know that you've seen Lupin, boy, we gotta talk about that. That show's fire.
I actually haven't watched yet. It's literally on my list of things to watch next. Like I'm literally
Damn it,
starting
Cliff.
this
No.
week. So if you give me like a month, I'll probably have watched the entire show.
Hey, man.
Whatnot.
It's all good. We're still waiting on season 3, so it's all good, bro.
The clock starts
good.
now, Cliff.
As soon as I log off. All right. Thanks,
No,
guys. See ya. I'm watching
Lupin is no. If nobody's seen Lupin, apart from the fact that Omar Sy is one of the best actors of our generation. Not our, you know what I mean? Like for the last 15, like he's great in everything that I've seen him in. The fact that he plays this particular version of someone inspired by Arsène Lupin, it's great. It's great. Go watch Lupin. Go watch RRR. It's awesome. It's amazing. Go watch Quentin Tarantino films. Damn it. Go watch Reservoir Dogs. Go watch Django Unchained. Go watch another indie film. Go watch things. Damn it. Okay.
If you don't even watch a Tarantino movie in your entire life, just listen to Quentin Tarantino talk about films. Like he is one of the I'm going to be controversial. I'm not a Tarantino fan, but the way his mind works, you get it. Regardless what you think of his movies. It's like this guy understands cinema in a way that I only wish I could. And it's amazing.
And for comments like that, that's why we keep Mike around. Because he brings the truth, damn it.
Yeah, because I was going to say, just read one of his scripts and see how he details the scenes. It's insane, honestly.
It sounds like we have to do a shatter. We got to do a take on a Tarantino film, apparently.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And we got to bring Cliff back. It's gonna
Listen,
happen.
I'm down. I just got to watch The Hateful Eight, and I'm all set up.
Buddy,
I'm literally good to go.
That might be my favorite one, honestly.
Wow.
I've heard a great thing.
The Netflix version or the original version?
I'm doing the extended versions.
I haven't seen the Netflix or extended versions. I saw the theatrical.
Cool. So, guys, I think we've done it. We've talked. We've chattered about RRR. It's been an awesome time. Cliff, big pleasure having you here and having an awesome conversation with y'all. If people were trying to find you, my friend, where can people find you?
You can pretty much find me on Twitter. The handle is the same as you see in this video. You can also find me at the Splash Podcast on YouTube. We got a lot of things coming up. We got some She-Hulk stuff, we got some comic book stuff. We got to do Cobra Kai as well. Like, we just got so many things,
Cool.
It's coming. But yeah, that's pretty much all the socials that I'm available on.
Cool. Isaac Wolf, where can people find you?
Well, you can find over Kettle of Entertainment, you can find me over at Emblemaniac on Twitter, and you can find the pod over at Amateur Otaku Pod, which we are on all the podcast feeds except Podbean, and as well as we are on YouTube. And we are also trying to restart our focus on Instagram.
Sweet. Mike, where can people find you and what's coming up on the chatter after, my friend?
You can find me, if you're watching on the YouTube feed, right here, youtube.com/NoviceCinephile, NoviceCinephile on Twitter, the NoviceCinephile on Instagram. And for the podcast, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on, so much so I don't know which order these episodes are going to be released in anymore. So, you might have got an episode on Moon Knight. You might not have. It's coming up regardless. You might get an episode on The Sandman, or it already came out. I don't know. Regardless of that, stay tuned.
That's real. That's very honest.
Release something we are planning on.
Hey, I'm just saying, stay tuned. There's a lot of fun stuff happening. And it might be the new year. It might be 2023 by the time you get this episode. We're that backed up.
I can't wait for y'all Avatar videos when that show drops. Like, I am ready to sit and just listen to you guys talk about that. I can't wait for that.
Speaking of which,
that's gonna be awesome.
One more thing to plug: Avatar: The Last Airbender. Film Optics. I had the pleasure of covering all 3 seasons. We have completed that. So check out Christian's podcast, Film Optics, with an X. It's not where you think, but it's gonna be wherever you get your podcasts. That's all I got. Back to you, bro.
And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram. We also co-host the Amateur Talker podcast, where we talk everything anime and manga. We're covering My Hero Academia. We're excited about the new season of My Dress Up Darling. We're also excited for October fall season. There's so much stuff going on. We have no idea how we're going to cover it all, but we're going to do it, damn it.
You probably already
that's what we
by
do.
the time you get this.
Probably. But also we're planning a lot of stuff for October. We're looking for different films. We're looking into doing Constantine after the sequel is announced for Halloween. And we're also planning on doing Train to Busan, which is another foreign amazing horror film. We're very excited to talk about that as well. And we are still trying to stay on schedule, giving you guys a take every 2 weeks to give you guys awesome movies to talk about, awesome movies to discuss, because we love talking about movies. That's what we do. And remember, there's always people to shatter with. If you want to shatter with us, look us up at The Shatter After on Twitter. And if there's any movies or thoughts that you want to share on this film, let us know on the comments below. And we will see you next time. Keep watching movies and stay awesome. Peace.